Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, Season 2, Episode 8, Drones. So very quickly, I've sped this footage up quite a bit, because, who cares. But this is a very quick build video of a unmanned aerial vehicle. I'm going to use as a proof of concept for the land-based transmitter relays that I started setting up last time. Basically, this is going to be a very simple, very quick, very light, unmanned SSTO based off a previous design that I used before the spaceplane parts, but now I'm just trying to incorporate them. But really, I am just trying to slapdash something together to test out the capabilities of those ground-based units. I do in fact have a couple of satellites in low Kerbin orbit, but yeah, they always fall out of position. They're never where I want them to be, and when I don't have something directly overhead or flying with the flight path, it rarely works. So we're just gonna belt this little guy together, test him out, and see how he flies. Hopefully it's pretty well. So that's just about all that we're actually going to need here. Just a few last minute additions of things. Yeah. And well, very shortly here we'll get this little guy outside and see how he wants to fly. Alright, and we're outside and we're ready to see how this little guy wants to behave. Not as overly engineered as some of my other projects, but, well, we just need to see if this all works. So, engine's on, throttle him up. There's that nice glow. Alright, little guy. A little more speed. Yep, yep. Yep, we're airborne. Alright. Seems to be pretty stable. Well, a little bit of a lean there. I wonder if we got a fuel feed problem. We'll see if it's persistent, but hey, as long as we can get to orbit and not lose signal, I will be pretty happy. Well, flexing the wings there under time warp, but that's pretty normal, I'd say. Really, I'm just trying to get to a little over 10 kilometers here where this engine performs best as quickly as possible before I can level it out and just let it build up as much speed as possible before we run out of atmosphere. I probably could have stacked a couple more intakes on this thing, but who cares. I am going to try to keep it right on that 90-degree heading, because that's where most of these relays are optimized for. Yeah, some of them are off that plane a little bit, but they all still have good LOS. So if we can stay with most of our predictive flight path as far as any launches that follow this, we'll know that it works. Alright, checking in. Alright, and we are in fact connected to the first relay, and wouldn't you know, there happens to be a satellite overhead. Awesome. Well, as long as we can pay attention to the ground relays, because if we know that we're connected to those ground relays, then we know we'll be connected to the satellite network, and we know that we'll be able to operate regardless of whether or not there is in fact a satellite overhead. So, here's hoping, guys. That is an ugly little devil, isn't it? Some of that cool Mach effect now as we're getting ready to come up on Mach 2. Already well surpassed maximum Q. But I don't use Ferrum Aerospace. I'm using the Near Aerospace, so dynamic effects don't really play a part in this. Lucky me. Yeah, that's the cool light show there. That will honestly never get old. That always just looks awesome. Yeah, I'm just going to let this guy sail up to speed under time warp, because why not? These things take long enough as it is. And if you're stable under time warp, then hell, use it. Correct our heading just a little bit here. Yeah, we're only a degree or two off. That really, 92 degrees, 91 degrees. Yeah. That may affect our approach vector coming back home more than it will affect our ability to communicate with these relays. I don't know. Grand scale? No? Nothing? Okay. Yeah. But maybe I just shouldn't care either. Alright, well, we're connected to 2 relays now, but patching our signal still through the overhead satellite. We're probably going to end up chasing that little guy around the planet, so I don't know if we'll actually be at a point where we're connected only through the relays. 0.05 on the intake air. That's, with only a single engine, we can run that pretty low. If we were on a multi-engine craft now, this would be almost a point where we'd want to fire up our liquid ox engines, but I'm going to write it out. I'm going to see how long we can make this little guy squeeze on that jet throttle. Now, we've pinched back the throttle just a bit. Basically, as air runs out, you don't need as much fuel to achieve a... I don't think stoichiometric's the right word, because stoichiometric's when you have exactly enough air to burn off the amount of fuel that you've pumped in. But basically, you don't want to flood out the engines with so much fuel and there's not enough air to burn it. So you can start the throttle back. Yes, you'll lose thrust, but you'll actually be able to keep your engines on for longer. So grand scale of things, you'll get a longer run out of it. And something as light as this, 2 or 3 kilonewtons of thrust isn't going to make or break your ability to get in to hit orbit, basically. With these craft, as long as you're gaining altitude or gaining speed, preferably gaining altitude, you'll do just fine. While we may be going up pretty slowly, we are in fact going up. So I'll try to just increase our AOA just a little bit here. And again, still connected to that satellite, but also to the ground relay. So although our proof of concept is ill-timed, it is proving its concept. It sounds like this one, I really kind of wish I had a flight stick, because I'm sitting here just tapping tapping the S key to keep this little guy pointing towards the stars here, and it gets kind of annoying, this very regular tap, 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 tap. But I've never used a flight stick with KSP, and honestly, I haven't owned a flight stick since, God, 1999. When I was last playing one of the Microsoft flight simulators, and well, I did still play Mech 2 Mercenaries way back then. It was kind of an outdated game at that point, but it's still a classic title. Tap, 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 tap. 36,000 meters. This is honestly a little higher than when I usually do my engine changeover, but you know, hey, we're still kicking, and now our velocity is showing the benefit we're getting from Kerbin's rotation. So, all right, and we're connected to our 3rd relay station. And still climbing. Not accelerating very fast, but we've already got a pretty good chunk of speed pushing us. So, I mean, I didn't really have a doubt that this guy would make it to orbit, unless he fell apart before that, or spun out of control, or lost signal. 5.2 kilonewtons. I actually probably could have done without 2 or 3 of those big battery banks. Maybe we can wedge a seat in there and use this as a rescue craft for Kerbals stranded in orbit. That thing would be super cheap to do. Have I unlocked the command seat yet? Man, I haven't used one of those in, God, since like 0.22, I think. On rovers. Of course, I flipped the rover and it turned the Kerbal into debris, so he was just kind of stuck there, dead but not dead, but that happy in between nothing. Alright. Still connected to our third relay, not quite on connected to the fourth one yet. And this was what I kind of wanted to find out, was whether or not I'd be able to be connected to relay 3 and 4, or if there'd be some time gap in there somewhere. And I might be getting a little too high. I'll keep this engine running much longer. But, well, we should still be able to see our connection to the relays, even if we're approaching orbit. Man, we're not gaining altitude very quickly anymore. And I'm not quite connected to that other relay yet. It's becoming kind of a struggle to keep gaining altitude. We're barely gaining speed now, too. Come on, little guy, you can do it. Alright, there's some altitude. We shed some speed in the process. Yeah. Fire him up. That was not a worthwhile equation. We're just going to leave this engine on. Oh, it's out of thrust. Kill it. So, on rocket power only now, and picking up a great deal of speed. So yeah, we'll be in orbit here in a minute or so. No big deal. So, just keep our current heading. Okay, good. Ooh, we're connected to 2 relays. That's perfect. Perfect. This is going to work out quite nicely. And yes, I do realize that for as many relays as I had on the ground, I could put that many satellites in orbit and with correct timing have good coverage. Until, you know, I time warp 200 or 300 days on a long mission and suddenly they're all clumped on one side of the planet. Which has happened to me no less than twice. Despite using engineer to get it their orbits synchronous to down to the second or so. There's always that decimal place. And there's always my inability to care about going back and correcting for 1/10 of a second of an orbit. And some of them I sent up in big multiplex packs, so the individual satellites don't even have their own fuel. They just kind of, they're supposed to stay put, was the point. And they didn't do that. They're bad satellites. If I could have deorbited them, I did. Instead, I just hit terminate. So now, yeah. Alright, we just time warped up. We're almost out of the atmosphere. And there might be somebody within a square mile of the house because the dog's going crazy. Yeah, sorry about that. Alright, so we're about to clear the atmosphere. That'll be cool. So then we can go to real-time warp and hopefully get around to the daytime side where the image we're looking at actually would mean something. Instead of these awkward, glowy intakes. Alright, wow. Lift pushed it up to 93 kilometers. That's pretty cool. These things do happen. Yay, wings. Alright. Alright, first things first, now that we're in space. Yep, and we are connected to that that last relay. Brilliant. It works. It works. Geosync satellites. Keosync satellites, rather. Alright. We'll go ahead and set up this maneuver node. Do. Yeah, alright. And yeah, you know what? We're just gonna let the flight computer take care of this. So, tell it to face the node. goes about it in the most haphazardly weird way, and execute next maneuver. 2 minutes 39 seconds. We'll just speed this up a little bit, and the flight computer will automatically throttle back. Time warp. We're still on our forward tank, so it should mean that the lateral tanks are gone. At least they should be. The way I hooked up the fuel lines was so that all engines have had access to all fuel at all times, because that's just easiest, although we are going to probably move some of it around to balance things out, just to ensure stability on our descent track. Hopefully. Alright, and now with our big antennas out, we are connected to the wider berth of satellites, which is awesome. Alright, now, quick check of things. Lateral tanks still have fuel. We'll take care of that. Say I want to move it forward, keep our center of mass ahead of our center of lift, especially since we're going to be going pretty much into a controlled dive. We want to put the weight as far forward as we can. Basically, if we should lose control of the aircraft, spacecraft, whichever. Alright, only oxidizer in these tanks. I guess we burn that liquid fuel with the jet engine. Anyway, if we lose control of the craft, we can let gravity do some of the work for us, because gravity is going to pull us down. And if the heaviest part of the craft is the nose, it will want to pull it down first. And thus, by default, carving our wings into the flow of air and bringing us out of the stall. Hopefully, this is a theoretical stall, and I hope I don't stall this out. That would be bad. It's so tiny. Not very cute, though. Yeah, well, here's why we were out of balance on ascent. For some reason, we burned no liquid fuel from these lateral tanks, but all the liquid fuel from the other lateral tanks. So that threw our center of mass off of our center of thrust, at least until we were turned on the rocket motors anyway. Alright, looks like we're going to run out of room in that front tank. So we're just going to pump one of these over there to balance things out. We'll probably be able to empty these after we make our deorbit burn. Because then weight will be more important. Alright, just double check, make sure I didn't miss anything. Cool. Balance, that one's full. Well, as full as it's going to be for right now. Oh, alright, look at that. Right about now is when we should be making this, so tell the flight computer to hold us to retrograde and kick on those engines. Start to set ourselves up on a nice descent trajectory here. Alright. I'm going to aim a little behind the KSC, because when you hit atmosphere, and if you're pointing the right way and with all this speed, you'll be able to glide scope it in. My goal here is to do a completely unpowered descent. So we will empty these little guys. Just in case we have to kick an engine on, we know now that it's not going to burn liquid fuel from each side evenly, but it will burn from the center stack evenly. So, alright, make sure the flight computer's not trying to hold us to retrograde anymore. Turn so that we are going to face the correct way, and turn SAS back on, because flight computer turns off SAS. Good thing to know. We want to keep the solar panels pointed up to keep our batteries charged. Now again, we do have deadly re-entry on. I fully expect to lose a solar panel or two off the bottom. Alright, we're connected to our landing approach relay, were there no satellite overhead, and if I had actually turned off the long-range antenna, that would be our only means of comm. Now, as a control test, I'm going to turn one of these off just in case. I'm just going to leave the other one on. We'll see if it survives. We've got the always-on antennas, the little tiny bipole, and there's a built-in antenna to every probe core now. It gives you, I think it's either 3.5 kilometers or 350 kilometers. Or, you know, somewhere in the middle. It's a pretty broad range. But in there somewhere. Alright. Yeah, 42,000. Still descending. Right where we left it, and we're connected to our approach relay. We're going to start making some maneuvers to slow ourselves down a little bit. Again, with these swept wings, this little guy should be exceptionally good at gliding. So we're just going to use all that surface area as a big air brake. I'm starting to pick up some heating effect. Now, this is the cool advantage to an unmanned craft, is you can throw that G-force limiter into the wind. Almost literally. Since I'm not using FAR, there's no dynamic pressure limitations. And since there's no crew, there's no G-force limitations. We can just throw this little guy around until we get a speed that we like. Really just buck him around a little bit. I mean, it's a prototype. We're supposed to see what all he can put up with, right? Ooh, whoa, whoa. Alright, come on, get it back. Good job. Yeah. And we are a little north of the Space Center. We'll have to correct for that too. Yeah, remember that degree or two that I was off on that ascent angle? Now it comes back to haunt me. So like I said, just throw that G limiter into the wind. Who cares? Just bounce that G meter off the limiter there at 15 Gs. Who cares? Pegged. Alright, now we're going to steer it a couple of degrees south and try to line ourselves up. At least get a semblance of a better approach here. Alright, now we're starting to get some real airflow. Whoa. That was some bowing on those wings. Whoa. Yeah, it looks like we managed to pick up a little bit of instability. Maybe I broke something, perhaps? Or maybe the air's just thick enough now that it's actually going to start really beating the hell out of the airframe. Yep, still a bit north. Alright, so let's steer it south. Yeah, I'm a little nervous now. I think I actually did break something. Connected directly to KSC now. Alright, well, it looks like we're on a pretty good approach, so we're just going to sail with this for a little while. That is a lot of flopping around of things. We're not even under time warp. That's crazy. Shaking it like a Miley Cyrus video. And I'll apologize for that terrible, not even a pun. Alright, yeah, we're going to have to turn a little south here and get ourselves lined up for that runway. Yeah, I just had to check. That's a lot of flopping around. Oh, whoa. I don't think this guy's doing so good. Did we lose a couple of struts or something there to heating? Anybody see anything explode or break off? Whoa. lot of dynamic effects here. Still supersonic. Alright. Slowing down pretty quickly though. Looks like we'll be subsonic just as we cross the hill maybe. Just about another 100 meters a second or so to lose. But a pretty solid approach if I do say so myself. I don't mean to brag, but that's a very nice unpowered approach vector. Gear out. Oh man, this is gonna be hairy. Alright, come on. Nice and steady. Still at 200 plus meters a second. Flare it. Gently. Oh, bounce. Oh, well, there was another turnaround. Oh, no! Oh. Well, we did prove our concept. Oh. Poor little guy. Never stood a chance. It wouldn't be KSP without some fantastic explosions and unplanned rapid disassemblies. Well, that was fun. I learned some things. Nothing that really matters though, but yeah, hey, the concept works. We're definitely gonna make a bigger, better, faster drone, hopefully that can land without being kicked into a huge fireball, disintegrating and drifting aimlessly and slowly back to Kerbin. But anyway guys, thanks for joining me. I'm the Cosmonaut. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you next time.